So one of the things that I look forward to coming back here to Toronto is that here in Toronto, there's a lot of like good restaurants here, right? Like all kinds of cuisine. Like parishioners have been taking us priests to go out and eat. We go to Japanese restaurant, Korean restaurant, Thai restaurant, Indian restaurant, all kinds of cuisine. And it's all delicious. That's why for me coming back here to Toronto, I really have to watch my diet, right? And the other thing that doesn't help is that in our household, we have a good cook who loves to cook, right? And she would cook like a lot of food, right? And I think subconsciously, she wants to make the priest fat, right? That's why for us priests, we have to first watch our diet, and we also have to exercise. Otherwise, our waistline will just go bigger and bigger and bigger. Right? Father Joshua and I, we will go to the gym to lift weights. That's why if you see the biceps of Father Joshua, it's getting bigger and bigger every week. Now, I don't have that biceps, right? Father Brenton and I, we hired a tennis coach. So we're into playing tennis now, right? We used to be so bad. Like when we play, instead of just playing in one court, we play in 4 courts. Because our balls will just go to the 3 other courts there. Now it's down to 2 courts. Still bad, but getting better. Okay. Father Brenton and I also are into swimming. We see how athletic you're a priest here at St. Timothy. So we go to a swimming center here, and if you do some swimming there, you would notice that there's a sign for a slow lane, medium lane, and a fast lane. And for me, I'm thinking that I'm fast, so I will go to the fast lane. So doing some laps there, and I just kind of feel like the other people in that lane were kind of getting upset. I don't know why. And I think it has to do with me being slow. And I'm in the fast lane, right? So one woman took the courage to really talk to me. And she said, "You should not be in this lane. Go to the medium lane." And I was like really so embarrassed because I think I was fast, right? So I was sharing that with Father Brenton, and Father Brenton also shared his experience. So he would be swimming on the slow lane, and the lifeguard told him, "Hey, you're faster than the people here. Move to the medium lane," right? And that experience of Father Brenton and I reminds me of our gospel today, right? From Luke chapter 14, wherein Jesus talked about the wedding banquet, where it says there, "Do not sit down at the place of honor, in case someone more distinguished than you has been invited, and someone will tell you, 'Give this person your place.' And in disgrace, you move to the lowest place. Instead, sit down at the lowest place, and then the host will tell you, 'Friend, move up on high.' Then you will be honored by those people who are sitting with you. For whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted." So don't take the VIP seats, right, in banquets or any event. That's why using the swimming analogy, I think I was the one who exalts myself, thinking that I'm a fast swimmer, and I was humbled. And Father Brenton was so humble, thinking that he was slow, and yet he was exalted because he's really faster than those who are in the slow lane. In Philippians chapter 2, verse 3, it says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourself." Okay? Now, this is easier said than done, right? To think others better than ourselves. I think we have a tendency to wanting to be better than others. And this not just happens to lay people like you. It also happens to priests like us. We have a tendency to compare ourselves. We're envious of other people's gift, talent, popularity, or fruitfulness in ministry, right? We're all in the same boat. We struggle with this, right? And the thing with that is that when we think highly of ourselves, it could feed the ego in us. And when we see that we are inferior with other people, like we feel discouraged, right? That's why, pride is the root of all sin, right? We know Adam and Eve fell to the temptation of the serpent because the serpent tempted them. If they eat the forbidden fruit, what will happen? They will become like God, knowing good and evil. And that's pride. After that came all kinds of sin, right? And that's why when somebody asked St. Augustine, when he was asked to name the 3 most important virtues, Augustine replied, humility, 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 right? Because if the pride is the root of all sin, humility is the foundation of all virtue. You're not going to grow in other virtues if you're not humble, right? That's why it's so important, especially as we're in the early stage of our spiritual life, we need to grow in humility. And this is a lifelong process, right? Up to now, I'm still working on my humility. I think until I die, I'm going to work on that. So I think for us to grow in humility, I'm just going to suggest 3 things, okay? The first one is we need to know our identity. We have to ask ourselves, where is our identity? Do we find our identity in our accomplishment or in what we possess, right? Because if that is our identity, then we're going to look for that, right? We're going to strive for that. And that's where pride could easily get in, right? That's why it's so important for us to know our identity, who we are and who God is, right? That we are beloved sons and daughters of God, and God is our Father. And as we experience His love for us, we start to become secure of our identity. That God loves us for not what we have or for what we do, but for who we are. Right? We are loved for who we are. And by that, you become secure. You don't need to strive to perform. You don't need to strive to please people. Right? You're not so obsessed, what other people are thinking of me. Right? Because that could feed in to pride. Okay? So, the first thing that we have to do is know our identity. Repeat after me. Know our identity. Mother Teresa once said, if you're humble, neither praise nor disgrace will touch you because you know who you are, right? Have you ever experienced that when people praise you, you feel so good? And then when people criticize you, you feel so bad, right? That is because we don't know yet who we are, our identity, and there is pride in us. So the second thing that we need to do in order to grow in humility is to accept humiliation cheerfully. Repeat after me. Accept humiliation cheerfully. Saint Mother Teresa once said this also. We learn humility through accepting humiliations cheerfully. Do not let a chance pass you by. It is so easy to be proud, harsh, moody, and selfish, but we have been created for greater things. Why stoop down to things that will spoil the beauty of our hearts? Okay? So I know it's hard. For me, when I'm experiencing some humiliation, I kind of want to run away from it, right? Because it's hard. But the Lord is using that to humble us, right? That's why we need to accept humiliations, not just accept it, but accept it cheerfully, okay? So that's the second thing, accept humiliation cheerfully. The third thing that I would like to ask you to do is to pray the litany of humility. Say it with me. Pray the litany of humility. Go to the internet, okay? Just type litany of humility. It's going to come out. Print it out. And if you're really struggling with pride, pray this for 30 days. Every day, pray this, okay? And ask for the grace to become humble. And this litany of humility is composed by Cardinal Raphael Mary Del Val. In our first reading today from Sirach chapter 3, it says, "My child, perform your task with humility, then you will be loved by those whom God accepts. The greater you are, the more you must humble yourself. So you will find favor in the sight of the Lord." Who wants here to find favor in the sight of the Lord? Okay, those who are not raising their hands, you don't want to find favor in the sight of the Lord? Okay, so this is, why is humility pleasing to God? Okay, precisely because the humble person does not seek to supplant God, to be like God. Okay? And we humble ourselves. We want others to be better than ourselves. So we do that by knowing our identity, knowing who you are and who God is. The second is accept humiliation cheerfully. Pray the litany of humility for 30 days. And when that happens, you will find favor in the eyes of God. Jesus, meek and humble of heart, make our heart like yours.